Hi, I'm Lisa Dion, and I'm the founder and director of the Play Therapy Institute of Colorado and the creator of Synergetic Play Therapy. And I want to take a few minutes and I want to share with you a bit about the philosophy behind Synergetic Play Therapy and what it is. So the first question that we need to explore is synergetic. What does that word mean? Why would you call a play therapy model synergetic play therapy? And I have often heard therapists also use the word synergistic, and synergetic and synergistic are two words that are very interchangeable. So synergistic, synergetic, that's fine. The name of the model is synergetic play therapy, but synergistic has the same meaning. And what it means ultimately is the system in transformation. So what does that mean? And in simple terms, what it means is that any parts that collaborate together create a synergy that's greater than any of the individual parts could have created on their own. So for example, the parts could be me and the child that I'm working with. The parts could be the different centers of my brain and the way they work together. The parts could be the way my brain is collaborating with the parts of your brain. The collaboration between all the different parts of my mind and my body. And it's the synergy, or what gets created when there's a collaboration between these parts, that actually creates what is the healing component of the play therapy model itself. So with that said, it's important to understand that synergetic play therapy isn't a technique. It's a way of being. It's a way of showing up in the world. It's a way of showing up in relationship with the child. It's a way of learning how to get your own parts to collaborate, so that when you are in the room with the child, your presence is so great that it actually allows and models to the child how to have their parts collaborate as well. And so there are a handful of different philosophies and a handful of different principles that any synergetic play therapist learns, develops, grows into, in order to be able to do the work with the child. And ultimately, the work for any synergetic play therapist is to be in relationship with the child and with themselves in such a way that helps reorganize and repattern the lowest parts of the brain center and literally help the child heal from the bottom up. And we all know that the ramifications for doing that are huge. They're far-reaching. If we can actually help heal some of the disorganization in a child's brainstem and in our own, that the effects of that are far-reaching. In doing so, we're also helping the child tap into what I'm going to call their authentic self, which is who the child is rather than who the child is trying to be. Which is also one of the things that I found therapists struggle with a lot in this field. So many therapists are struggling with shoulds. Shoulds about how to be in the playroom, what to say, when to say this, and we get caught up in right or wrong, and we actually block our own authentic self emerging. In fact, because of the shoulds in our head, we actually keep ourselves in our own state of dysregulation. So one of the core principles, if you will, of synergetic play therapy is helping the authentic self emerge. Another core principle of synergetic play therapy is using mindfulness as a vehicle and as a tool to help this authentic self emerge. So synergetic play therapists spend a lot of time studying mindfulness, studying about what is the mind, what is this projective process, what is this transference, countertransference thing, helping develop a greater sense of ability to look within, to observe themselves, to notice different parts of themselves, to notice when they are becoming dysregulated in the playroom, to notice when they're becoming hyperaroused, hypoaroused, to notice the details of what's coming up in their own inner world, so then they can help facilitate at a greater level the child's process. Another principle in synergetic play therapy is learning ourselves, as synergetic play therapists, how to regulate our own nervous systems so that then we can model to a child how to regulate their own nervous systems. All of us are going to go through life getting dysregulated. It's part of the design of the nervous system. We are going to experience challenge, we're going to perceive challenge, we are going to perceive the need to get activated into either a hyperarousal response or a hypoarousal response, meaning a fight or flight or a freeze, shut down, fall asleep type response, and we are beautifully designed to do so. But many of us were not actually modeled or taught how to come back to a state of regulation and how to do that really skillfully. And a lot of the symptoms that show up in the playroom for a child are just that. They don't know how to come back because maybe they were never taught how to come back in the first place. Maybe they don't even know what to go back to. And so a lot of the work of a synergetic play therapy is to, one, learn how to come back themselves so that they can then model to the child how to come back to their selves, and which also increases their ability to, number one, be able to access their authentic self, and then also how to help their brain develop so they can access higher centers of the brain. Another piece, you've heard me say here this idea of authentic self, but in that is this idea of attachment to self. We spend a lot of time in our field talking about what it means to attach to another human being, but ultimately, my opinion, the cornerstone of all healing boils down to this: can I attach to myself? Can I attach to myself so that then I can be in relationship with anybody? Can I go anywhere because I'm always home? Do I have to lose myself because somebody else is doing something that's challenging for my nervous system, or is challenging for my perception of what I think is right or wrong? Do I have to lose myself? And if the answer I can keep coming back to is no, I don't have to lose myself. In fact, I can continue to return home. I can continue to learn how to come back to center. I increase my resiliency. I increase my ability to handle larger and larger challenges. I develop in higher capacities the frontal cortex of my brain. I'm more creative. I'm more expansive. I'm more present. I'm more magnetic. I can make a larger impact on those around me and in my own life when I attach to myself. So synergetic play therapists spend a lot of time studying what that means and ultimately how to model that to the children and the parents and families that they're working with as well. Another piece of this that is so beautiful is that synergetic play therapy came out of an intuition. So the research that now is supporting synergetic play therapy that's out there, the beautiful work by Daniel Siegel and by Alan Shore and by John DeMartini and by Stephen Porges. The beauty of this is that synergetic play therapy was created without the knowledge of that research. And as all of the research is now emerging in the field, what it's doing is it's giving language for what intuitively we've seen synergetic play therapists have seen happen in the playroom for years. So it's quite exciting in that way. And then the last principle that I'm going to speak to is this idea of emotional congruency, which also is part of being authentic and accessing your true authentic self, if you will. So we look at, are we able to express ourselves emotionally? Can we even give ourselves permission to feel our feelings? Or do we have to run away from our feelings? Is our window of tolerance in our inner world large enough to handle and to feel and to integrate the emotional experiences that are coming up in the room within ourselves as a therapist? And then also, can we model for the child, they don't have to run away from their emotions. In fact, they can move towards their emotions. And they can move towards their emotions as a way to actually grow and develop and repattern their brain and repattern their nervous systems and help them actually create an incredible amount of resiliency in their own lives as they navigate their world. So I invite you to join us on the Synergetic Play Therapy journey. If there's anything that I have shared that is of interest to you and you want to learn more, please join us. Please come on this path with us and learn what it means for you in your own life to be authentic, and learn about the power of what that can do for the kids in the playroom, and experience for yourself the deep transformation that can happen when your parts and then the child's parts and then yourself and the child all come together and all merge, and the extraordinary healing that can happen as a result